Let's get salty!
Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and we had our big rant about Wild being busted, and believe me, it's pretty busted. If you weren't believing that this whole like Warlock thing would go away, it's completely warped the meta. Everything is either to beat it, which is like hyper aggro, or you play the Warlock deck. And yeah, I want to give you guys the best decks to play in both Standard and Wild after the first couple of days here. There's been some real prominent decks up and coming, and I thought I'd give you guys some deck codes and some tips on how to win with these decks and, you know, highlight what they can do for both Standard and Wild. I'll give you 4 decks for each format. And I just wanted to thank you guys. If you take a look here, 45% of you guys are subscribed to the channel that watch, 54% are not. So if you are in that range that are not subbed, I'd really appreciate if you hit that button. We're getting super close to 30k, and if we can get there, I think I might be unveiling the next video on my doc series. So hit that sub button if you haven't already. I would really appreciate it, and we'll have a pretty sweet video to go once we hit that goal. Let's start with Standard. And since a lot of people haven't been able to play Shaman for a while, I thought I'd give 2 different Shaman decks to give a go. First is Aggro Shaman, doing very well. It's built around Doomhammer. You basically, every one of these Shaman decks, it's all about Primal Dungeoneer. It draws your Cage Match Custodian or Lily Pad Lurker, and then you can, from there you get a nature spell and you can get your weapon and go to town, and you have your good 1-drops like the new Wailing Vapor in there from the mini set. And yeah, it's just a good, like, you know, curved deck. You got your Doomhammer Rockbiter to finish off your opponent. Finally, if you want to play some Shaman, this deck can definitely do the trick. Definitely aggressive, but you have the, you know, even like Overload synergies. You have Unbound Elemental, recently buffed, works in there. You have the Corset card of Novice Zapper. You got some reach, but overall, pretty straightforward deck. You want to curve out, play your Primal Dungeoneer, draw your weapon, push damage while you can, and you even have Dunk Tank in there, which can be like a not only burn damage but an AoE. Versatile deck, and even got a little bit of value with 1 copy of Menacing Nimbus. So if you want to finally play some Shaman, give Aggro Shaman a shot. But we also have one other Shaman deck here, and that's Evolve Shaman. More of a throwback. Remember Evolve Shaman? Everybody wanted that nerfed immediately. Well, it's back. And well, again, Primal Dungeoneer basically guarantees in this version of the deck Cage Match Custodian, which gets your Bog Spine Knuckles, which lets you do all the evolve things. Archdruid Narlax is in here for some value. You could also evolve that 3/3 when it becomes undormant, and you get those dream cards. And you know, you have Broomstick to give everything rush, Meeting Stones in here to give you more tokens, more board presence. And we even have like Carnival Clown. It's a pretty good evolve target. You don't even really have a way of corrupting it, but it doesn't really matter. You're getting 3 random 10 drops after you play your Bog Spine, or you could play it as like a defensive strategy and all that. So deck's doing really well. This list I'm highlighting here is from Superior David, top 100. He's actually more of a priest main, but for some reason he's playing some Shaman here. And yeah, give this a go. Like, there's 2 pretty good Shaman lists. There's even a spell damage list, but I'll give you guys something else besides just Shaman. So next on the list, we're gonna go yet again with another aggro option. Very aggressive meta. It's been that way for quite some time. Don't worry, our last option will help you against the control decks or the aggro decks, and that's Face Hunter. Face Hunter. This was a rank 1 legend Face Hunter list, and it's pretty much standard Face Hunter. It doesn't really run any new cards, but I thought I'd highlight it to you because it's doing so well. And if you want to climb the ladder, you want to climb quickly, Face Hunter can do well, and it's worked at top ranked legend as well. I mean, it's just, you play a bunch of early game, you finish your opponent off with like quick shots. You got the, you know, Man Crick in there, which you can get with your Barak Kodobane, but this is not an exciting, sexy, brand new card list. It doesn't have literally a new card, but I thought I'd highlight it because it's done so well. And it's, you know, 7,000 dust. It's not the cheapest for an aggro deck, but it's still, I guess, a bit more budget conscious. When we get to our last recommended deck for Standard, we got Control Warrior. Control Warrior version, only a mere 15,000 dust, taken from Eddie. Eddie's a Grandmaster, got rank 1 legend with this list. No Rattlegore makes me sad, but he's got the win condition here. He's got the Silas OTK combo with Silas, Soulbunk, Ashtongue, and Shield Slam, as well as Cthulhu for more greed and value. But, you know, the standout new card in here is Kresh, Lord of Turtling, which you can bring back with your Overlord Sourfang. The card is incredibly good. Getting that armor, getting that weapon, it's such a sweet card. Super good. And this deck is, you know, if you want to play Control in Hearthstone, This is a viable option. I played a less greedy, a different version of this the other day and did incredibly well. There's a lot of aggro on ladder, and you can do really well against aggro with these type of decks. And yeah, play some Control Warrior. I know LB Mutinous is in here. How can you really go wrong with some Mutinous in your Warriors? So those are the standard decks I'd recommend. Wild is a heck of a different story of what stuff I'm recommending. Basically, it's completely warped all around this deck, or many versions of this deck. You'll see tons of different versions because none of them are right or wrong. It's Stealer of Soul Warlock, where you basically cheat out your entire deck and play out your minions for nothing once you play Stealer of Soul, plot twist into either Violet Illusionist or Mal'Ganis, and they can just dump your hand. And the list I'm highlighting here is the one I've seen the most success with. A lot of other people have had success with. It's like a Darkest Hour style, where you just cheat out Giant Taunts and Scrapyard Colossus, play Nerubian Unravelers, and you play Lotheb. Your opponent can't deal with the board. If they're against it, if they're aggro, they can't get through the taunts, and then you kill them over a couple turns. You can squeeze in maybe like the new Alexstrasza for some reach, or I've seen people even like put a combo version with Bran and both Alexes to OTK. There's really no wrong way of doing it, because once you play Stealer of Souls and your deck is free, you're free to play whatever you want. So play whatever greedy combo, as long as it keeps you alive or kills your opponent, you're good to go. But I found this one to be the most reliable to keep me alive and lock out both aggro and like slower decks. And that's the problem with Stealer of Soul Warlock. It literally auto wins against everything that's not hyper aggressive. Like Priest, you beat them. Any control deck, you beat them, unless it's Odd Warrior and you don't combo that early. Then they might have time to brawl you or reckless flurry you and still be able to survive, but that's about it. There's very few slower decks that have a chance. And for me, when I've been climbing with this, because I've been achievement hunting with it, about a worse version with like Nozdormu in it and Mutinous, I still was like 65% with it, and almost well over 50% of my losses were in the mirror. Against aggro, I was still well over 50%, and against anything else, I just crushed it. So if you want to abuse this before it gets nerfed, because I gotta imagine they're gonna nerf this because it's just destroying Wild in my opinion, give it a go. I'll encourage the terrible behavior of playing this deck, because you might as well take advantage of while you can. Plus there's an achievement for using health for minions, and it counts. I'm already at like 800 or 700 with this stupid deck. It's so stupid. Next, we have Darkglare Warlock. This is literally the same old Darkglare Warlock, but I'd argue it might still be better than Stealer of Soul Warlock, mainly because it's better against aggro for the most part, but against slower decks, it's worse because it can actually lose to those, because it only has Lotheb to lock out. And yeah, I mean, Darkglare still doing incredibly well. This list got rank 1 legend, I think, just the other day. Very good deck, and it can compete with Stealer of Soul Warlock, because you can play Giants before they get their big swing turn in. So it hits that check mark of it can beat Stealer of Soul Warlock. It turns out Warlock can beat Warlock as long as it's cheating gigantic minions very early. But yeah, you just want to play Darkglare, play Raised Deads, Cobalt Librarians, cheat out your Giants, try and protect your board with Lotheb, and then you have the finisher in there in Tamsman and Power Overwhelming, another an Arcane Golem, or any minion that survives. It's like, with both POs, it's like 16 damage worth of reach. So Darkglare, really good deck. Not the easiest thing in the world to play, but very solid. Next, pretty much the best counter to Stealer of Soul Warlock is Secret Mage. Straight up Secret Mage, doesn't run any new cards. You can tech in a Potion of Polymorph on top of your explosive runes to try and give yourself extra redundancy, because that's how you beat them. You beat them by, they can't play their Spirit of Souls. It will either blow up to runes, it'll blow up to, or turn into a sheep. They can play around it a little bit with like Armor Vendor and stuff like that, and you also have Counterspell in there to help lock it out, but that's basically what you're doing, right? That's how you win, and you have early aggression, you have fireballs, you have reach, and that's literally it. Play Secret Mage. It's still a very good deck, and it can beat the best deck in the format convincingly. Although I have to say, as playing Stealer Warlock, Soul Warlock, I've beat Secret Mage more than I've lost to it, and by a fair amount. So be aware, it's not like 100% counter. It just gives you a shot, and it's a very good deck. The last recommended deck is like Tax Paladin. This deck also helps lock out Warlock, mainly because of Amayog, which is hard to play around, and you can resummon things with Rally, Call to Arms, just disrupt them, and then also push insane damage with your 1 mana Bloodlust and your Blessing of Kings. It's a very effective deck. It does kind of cave to a couple of board clears, but again, a lot of people are just gonna be running into Stealer's Soul Warlock and other like decks like that, and it's doing pretty well. I struggled with it quite a bit as Warlock facing it. Again, I beat it more often than I didn't, but it was one of those decks that didn't just cave. It didn't you know, completely bend to the will of Stealer's Soul Warlock. But I imagine my recommendations will change a lot once these decks are nerfed and things change up. But hopefully this guy gives you some decks to try out in ladder, and let me know in the comments below what's been working out for you, what you want to share with everybody to give a try. These are just 8 of my recommendations. There's plenty of other stuff to play, and hopefully we'll have more stuff for you guys in the near future. So if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.